Today I'm going to be talking about Where the Wild Things Are, which was written and illustrated by Maurice Sendak. It was published in 1963 by Harper and Row Publishers. So it's been around for a long time. It has received a lot of great attention and won a lot of awards. It won the Caldecott Medal in 1964, which is a medal awarded to distinguished picture books. It was also the winner of a Hans Christian Andersen Awards Illustrator Medal in 1970. In 1982, it won the American Book Award, and in 1983, it won the Laura Ingalls Wilder Medal. So it's received a lot of good reviews and attention, but at first, in the first 2 years that this book was published, it was actually banned in many libraries across America. And it took about 2 years for people to figure out that the criticism it was receiving wasn't all true, and that kids loved this book and kids were flocking to this book, and that it shouldn't be banned. Because this book has been so popular, it's actually been depicted in the media many times. It was made into an opera. Sendak worked really closely with a composer in New York, and they made this into a children's opera. It was also made into a short film, and then in 2009, the most famous, it was made into a movie that was very famous. So the book revolves around a boy named Max. Here's Max. Max is not quite the best behaved boy, and he's going throughout his house one night and wrecking havoc. Here he is just knocking things down. He has a hammer in his hand. His mom and dad get mad at him, and they send him to his room without any dinner. So here's Max in his room, but magically his room starts to transform into a forest until none of his room is left. He sails away to an island on a private boat that came to pick him up. And once he gets to this island, he meets the wild things. And the book says, I'm going to read a little bit, it says, "And when he came to the place where the wild things are, they roared their terrible roars and gnashed their terrible teeth and rolled their terrible eyes and showed their terrible claws." So that's the illustration of the wild things. Max tells the wild things to be still. He intimidates them, and the wild things call him the wildest of them all, and they spend the rest of their night playing together. Then we have a few pages in the book without any words, and it's just a picture of Max. There he is, playing with the wild things, climbing trees, playing together, and he's now ruler of the wild things. But soon after, Max is sad, and he realizes that this is not where he wants to be, and he wants to be home with his family. And I'm not going to spoil the ending, but you can read it and see what happens and if Max ends up going home. This book can be a really good lesson for children if they're ever fighting with their parents or getting in trouble with their parents. It's a really good lesson about the love you receive at home, and that there's no place like home. This book was actually originally titled Where the Wild Horses Are, and Maurice Sendak realized that he couldn't draw horses, so that's why he changed it to The Wild Things, and he draws these really distinct monsters, and his illustrations can be easily picked out from everybody else's, but his wild things, the illustrations of them are very different and can be spotted out of any other illustrations. So that is Where the Wild Things Are.